Some weird stuff in this game. Like, you notice how I went back to this screen, it teleported me to the lower floor for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
You can also do weird shit like this.
Oh, do the thing where you bend over and it looks like you've got...
No, that's Mario. This week we polled our patrons, asked them what kind of stream you wanted to see. We gave them options like Kimco Seta, Just LJN,
I love that!
or FCI Milton Bradley. A lot of them got interest. It was actually pretty close until the very last day of voting when Taxan and Vic Tokai pulled ahead by one single vote. So we're starting off with Taxan. Now, what y'all know about Taxan? Because there isn't much to know, frankly.
I know one single solitary fact about Taxan, and that is that they are Naxat spelled backwards.
That is true,
like
yeah.
Control 2.
If you're familiar with the company Naxat Soft, they made a whole bunch of games for the TurboGrafx 16, like Devil's Crush, Alien Crush, a whole bunch of others. Meanwhile, their evil twin is Taxan, which was their pretty much US-based sister company. So while Naxat Soft was creating games on their own in Japan, Taxan was more of a licensor and publisher. They wanted to get in on the US NES market because, as we've seen before, it was hot, 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 as the song says. They were feeling hot, hot, hot.
Thanks, Buster Poindexter.
All right, so Taxan. Mm-hmm. They weren't known to anyone for a while, and then they burst onto the scene in 1989 with their very first game, which was Star Soldier. January 1989, it starts here. So they started a little bit late. They were a late bloomer a la American Sammy. They weren't there from the beginning like Bandai.
They were shy.
They wanted to verify that the market was there. And so they dipped their toes into the NES market by publishing Star Soldier. So this was a pretty old game at the time. I believe this was 86 in Japan. This followed up on Star Force and really put Hudson Soft on the map in terms of shoot-'em-ups and early Famicom games. Let's play it.
Hey, this music is good already.
Yeah, this is a definite improvement over Star Force, I will say. I keep getting those games mixed up because they have very similar names.
And I got the clock started, so you've only got 5 minutes per game. So...
Okay, I got 5 minutes to show off Star Soldier.
Okay.
Anyone know any Star Soldier fun facts? For me, I think this game, from what I've seen anyway, this game was what really sold turbo controllers in Japan. Because this game was famously demonstrated with Hudson's, what was he, marketing manager or something? Takahashi Meijin. Mm-hmm. This is how he got his fame. Because there's one point where you need to rapid fire real fast to kill a boss really quickly, and that gives you a lot of bonus points. And turns out what you need to do is do that 16 shots per second thing right point blank at the boss. That's how you do it.
The only fun fact anyone knows about this game, it seems like, is that it's associated with the first Hudson Caravan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Hudson's Caravan was a multi-year thing where it was pretty much like those blockbuster competitions they had back on the Super Nintendo and Genesis days. Only you had to play shoot-'em-ups or whatever Hudson's latest game was. There were several of those stretching into the TurboGrafx 16 era, but this was the first. This game's also unique because you can push up in front of these backgrounds, some of them anyway, and you duck under them like that. It's very confusing, and I don't like it at all, which is why none of their other games ever did that again. But still, it's different.
It's cool.
They tried something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you to Battlehork for resubscribed. They've been subscribed 17 months in a row. Thank you. Battlehork says, Vic Tokai sounds like the name of a lounge singer. Yes, Vic Tokai was the guy who absolutely ruined Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's him. Let's get him. Oh, this is that boss you need to fire 16 times for.
Ooh.
I did it.
How? I didn't even see that!
I have Turbo Fire.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, it suffices to say Turbo Fire is very, very handy in this game. And that's how Hudson made their market for their special rapid-fire controllers for the Famicom. You gotta have a game that requires super fast button input. And when the kids can't push 16 times a second, that's when you make a special peripheral.
Takahashi Meijin indeed.
That's me. And there's a lot of other fun secrets in the same vein around this, like right before the boss you had to destroy a couple of structures simultaneously. That gives you a bonus. Really, this is what kicked off score attack gameplay here on the NES, I think. I'd also say that this compares very favorably to other shooters that were being released for the NES at the time, because if you remember, the thing to do back then was to publish old Famicom games here in the States, because if you haven't seen it yet, it's new to you.
You know, that's very true. It's very, very true.
And yet I don't know why Hudson itself didn't pick this up, because they were pretty active at the time, making stuff like Milon's Secret Castle, Hudson's Adventure Island. For whatever reason, they just passed up old Star Soldier. I guess they thought it was old hat by this point.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. I mean, it was, what, 1989? So...
88.
88.
No, wait, beginning of 89, you're right. Yeah, considering this is from 86, it's kind of an old pull, but I'd say it still holds up pretty well. Not a bad first release.
Alright, yeah, BBH also does mention that NES licensees could only release 6 games a year, so they probably let someone else take care of it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Hudson didn't really have an unlimited slate of games to publish. They had to make their choices very carefully. Other companies got around that by, like, establishing what you call subsidiaries.
Yeah, like Konami's Ultra, and... God, I think Acclaim did that too.
Acclaim did that on the Genesis with Flying Edge. I don't know why. I don't think the Genesis had limits. They just felt like doing that.
But yeah. We don't want people to know this is us.
Also, side note, there is a special edition of this game that was programmed by our friend BMF54123. It was showcased at one of the SGEs from years past.
Oh, wow.
He added FMVs and CD audio to this game just for our little party, which was amazing.
How do you do that? Well,
You'll have to ask him.
I guess I will.
That version's never been seen again. It was a special limited time only thing. You could beat a level and then see, like, a GIF. It was cool.
Well, that's about 5 minutes there, Danny.
Okay, so there's Star Soldier, once a Hudson game, turned into a Taxan game. And I guess that worked out pretty well for them, because they kept on publishing games. So after this, they hit the green light for their next 3 releases. These games all came out in April of 1989, and we're going to cover those right now. You ready?
Yes.
Get your finger on that timer button, because
I'm ready.
We gotta make some time. First of these games was a little game called Fist of the North Star.
Wow.
Yep, they went ahead and licensed one of the terrible Fist of the North Star games that were released in Japan.
Alright.
This isn't the first Fist of the North Star or Hokuto no Ken game. That game was completely awful. This is actually Hokuto no Ken 2. And I guess around this time they were localizing the anime or the manga over here? Someone was.
I think so, yeah, but I forget who it was at this time.
Was Dark Horse around back then?
Yes, they were. I think they were working with Studio Proteus, but...
Okay.
For their manga stuff, but I have no clue.
So if you've ever played the original Hokuto no Ken, this is very similar, only it's way better. You can still punch people to make their heads explode. It's less graphic in this game.
They're a bunch of tiny little sprites!
You can jump way up to the status bar at the top of the screen.
Whee!
There's occasional bosses, and they explode real ninice when you punch them. He also has a nice strut. I like that.
Viz was doing the manga around this time. Alright, okay, cool.
That made sense. So you can think of this duology we're doing tonight, Taxan and Victokai, as basically being Kenshiro versus Duke Togo. 2 extreme manga and anime badasses fighting it out on the NES. Yeah, Victokai had that Golgo 13 license. Meanwhile, Taxan, they were just like, Fist of the North Star?
That works, right?
Americans like Kenshiro, right?
They like this exploding stuff, right?
Yeah, exploding heads. Who doesn't like it? There's a dude who does this.
It's family fun for everyone.
This is a cool move. Oh, I found the secret.
Just explode his...
Just gonna sit over here and hold that turbo button.
Oh boy.
Oh, he just generated the hell out of me.
Oh, you're destroying his knees. Oh.
Aw. Okay, let's try kicks this time.
He died.
But this is fully translated. For some reason, they brought this over, translating all the names pretty faithfully, as far as I know. You were just Ken, not Kenshiro. Good old Ken. Head Exploding Ken is what they called him. Did anyone play this back in the day? I'm curious to know. If so, I feel kind of bad for you. There's worse games, but damn.
Yeah, like the first one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty... Didn't this come out on... Didn't they have Fist of the North Star game for, what was that, the Master System?
It was the Genesis, actually.
Genesis, okay.
The Genesis actually launched with a localization of a Hokuto no Ken game, where they scrubbed all the licensed stuff out of it and called it Last Battle.
Ah, okay, okay.
So in a way, Hokuto no Ken had a lot of representation over here in the States, even if it wasn't under its old name.
Ah, yeah, and Streamline Pictures, I saw it earlier in chat, but Streamline Pictures did bring out the movie around this time as well, so there you go.
Alright, so that's actually good timing then.
Mm-hmm.
You got a popular license, you can exploit it. Oh, I found out how to do the cool kicks. Check it out.
Oh, he hates... Uh-oh. Oh,
he hated the hell out of that.
Nasty. Oh.
Gaylor City Group.
Aha! Well, there was a Fist of the North Star game on the Master System, but it was just called Black Belt.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah, they did that too, where they just scrubbed all the licensed stuff, and they called it Black Belt. You're just a generic karate dude, not Kenshiro.
Oh, man. You know what? I'd probably have played Black Belt, and I just don't remember it, but did people also explode in Black Belt?
I'm pretty sure they did.
Wonderful.
That is a trademark.
Wonderful.
So I guess out of the 3 Hokuto no Ken games that got releases in 89 and 90, one of them kept their Fist of the North Star license. The other 2 were just like, karate guy in the future. That's what this is about.
That's close enough.
Some weird stuff in this game. Like, you notice how I went back to this screen, it teleported me to the lower floor for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
You can also do weird shit like this.
Oh, do the thing where you bend over and it looks like you've got...
No, that's Mario. There's no Kintama Kenshiro. Unfortunately.
Alright, you got 30 seconds left.
Okay, so Fist of the North Star, big muscly guy makes other big muscly guys explode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could have been worse, could have been the first game, but boy, I would have picked literally anything else other than this game.
Wait, Big Fan Vader is in the American Fist of the North Star live-action movie?
I'd believe that.
Holy moly, I gotta see that sometime. Okay.
Alright, let's move on to April's second game. So their second game out in April of '89 was a game called Mystery Quest.
Oh, I remember this game!
This was originally released for Famicom Disk System in Japan, where it was called How-kun no something. The main character's name is How. This was published under the DOG label, which was Square Enix's boutique label, I guess.
Boutique is a nice way to say it.
And there's even some developer crossover, because this music is by Nobuo Uematsu, and it's probably his worst work.
What?
I mean, it's catchy, it's just kind of, you know, he probably spent like 5 minutes working on this.
I'm just like, please, I have other things to do. Okay, fine. Do mystery quest music. There, done. I assume all musicians, like, you know.
That's exactly how that happened.
Yeah, you know, Geddy Lee's in there being like, I'm making Tom Sawyer.
That's how Rush makes their music. You're right.
It is. It's how all musicians work. Let's see here.
So this game, with this game, Taxan had a side scroller. Right away, they were competing with Super Mario Brothers. Oh, look at this! I didn't know you could do this.
Oh.
That's kind of weird.
I'm so sorry. It looks like he's kind of pissing on the buildings when he does that.
Yeah, it's going all over. Man, he has no control.
Okay, I'm not the only... Okay, BB, okay. Other people agree? Okay, thank you. Now,
I actually know a couple of kids who had this. I think this game was fairly popular for whatever reason. Maybe, like, KB was selling it for $20 or something.
Yeah, I'm seeing some folks in chat saying they played it as a kid, so...
Yeah, this was weirdly popular. I know it wasn't, like, super popular like Mario, but still it was out there. Just have to wonder why, because the game is honestly not that good. It's no Fist of the North Star.
Oh, absolutely not. Those little scorpions.
You have any experience with this game?
I do? But I think it was one of those things where I was just going through a list of games and playing them, and I played this one, and I was like, yep, this sure is a game, and then I moved on after like 2 minutes.
Yeah, there's not much to say or really anything about this game.
You've officially played this game longer than I have now. Is this a platformer?
This is a platformer. It's kind of exploration-based, because later on it adds, like, you go back to the beginning of the level when you reach the end of one, and you gotta find a secret exit to continue. There's also a bunch of hidden items you have to find to progress. It eventually turns into like a mini Tower of Jiraga, which is unfortunate. But it's pleasant enough, and for early '89, you maybe had a chance of releasing this and getting away with it, which they did.
When was this game originally released? Because it does have that early Famicom feel to it.
I want to say this was 86 or 87, shortly after the FDS came out.
Yeah, because all those DOG games came out pretty close to the earlier days of the FDS. Electric Boogaloo says it came out in 1987.
Okay, makes sense. So this was a couple years old at this point. Still compares pretty favorably to a lot of the other junk available. You could make a niche in the market with this. I need some vitality.
Good question. Smebble Bear asks, is this a platformer if there aren't any death pits to jump over? Well, there you go. There's your death pit.
There's one. Oh, there's plenty. There's a lot of stuff in this game that'll kill you instantly. Eventually you get to a castle. I want to get to that point at least. Because it's at the castle where the game turns into a teleporter maze.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it does it like right away, too. Can I go down there? Want to find out?
Yeah.
Hey, look at that!
Hey!
We found the hidden mushroom house. Oh, and a full life restore. Good.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I needed that.
Alright, you got 1 minute left.
So I guess you could say this is pretty interesting in terms of structure. There's hidden stages to find, stuff to encounter. This was around the time when people really wanted secrets in their games. It's called the Tower of Jiraga effect.
Wait, really? Was that actually a thing? Did that become a trend?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was just developers not really knowing what fun was. They had to do something. Sure wish we knew what fun was.
Yes, back before the days of fun studies and the field of fununomics or whatever.
Funyuns. Can I go in here? Hey, I made it.
You're in the castle now.
And this is where they add a whole bunch of doors that are locked with keys, and you go through them, and you're in a different area, and it's really frustrating. I cannot swim! Game over!
Oh, that's such a cute game over screen. Alright, that's 5 minutes.
And so we come to the third and final April release in 1989 for Taxan, which was also their last release of the year. Alex, why don't you go ahead and start the timer right now? I don't think we need to spend much time with this game.
Okay.
So this is a game commonly known as Mouse Cop. It was an expanded version of the arcade classic Mouse Cop by Tosei, so you know it's good. They reimagined it, added a whole bunch of new levels. Mouse Cop now has a wife and a kid for some reason.
Oh, wow.
And they released that in like 86, and a couple years later they brought it over courtesy of Taxan, because no one else wanted to touch it. This is Mappy Land. Or PYL. Oh.
Great.
This is Mouse Cop Land. There we go.
There you go.
This isn't right. This isn't working.
This is not working, baby.
Y'all may know that we have a history with this game, and yeah, this is pretty much what I expected. I can't say that this is unexpected. I can't say this is unexpected.
What's with the thing in the corner?
I don't know.
Ah!
How about I just let the computer play? I don't want to play this anyway. So, yeah, Mouse Cop, he's bad news. Anytime you mess with him, you're gonna get screwed one way or the other. Even the computer can't play this. Look at this. It froze? Hang on. Alright, why is it still doing this? This is stupid. God damn it, Mouse Cop. Yep, my favorite Taxan game, PYL.
I love PYL.
Okay, there we go. See, this is how you play the game.
Just like that.
Yeah, you just jump in the river. Oh,
Oh, no!
You stay away from that church, Mouse Cop. Don't you... Look at that. He's already defiled it.
Oh, God. The church disappears.
Alex, what do you say we move on?
All right.
I knew this was a bad idea. Mouse Cop, it happened. No one had to bring it over here, but Taxan did, and now look what happened. Thanks a lot, Taxan.
I like that we're in hell now. I'm pretty happy about that.
Welcome to hell, everybody. And who gave Mouse Cop a gun? Whose idea was that?
Ah! Should we move on?
I don't know. I want to see what this does. The computer's really confused. Oh. Almost. Oh, God.
I like that.
Okay, this is the part where it introduces all the different characters, but you can't see what they are. It's been censored by the CIA.
It is totally redacted information.
Let's move on to 1990 and hope that these games work after this. With 1990, they started out in January with a game called Eight Eyes. Okay, this one works. Good.
Okay.
So this is made by the dream team of Seta and Thinking Rabbit. Seta being a weird company, makers of, God, what are they known for?
Seta?
Yeah.
Like,
Q-billion, I guess? Whatever.
Sorry.
Meanwhile, Thinking Rabbit is the Sokoban people. They're the people who created Sokoban and pretty much invented block-based pushing puzzlers. So with them, they teamed up and they made a Castlevania clone where you control a dude and his owl friend. This is also one of those games where I'm not really familiar with the structure, so I'm just going to start off in the default level here.
Okay. Ooh, pretty.
You
Like
video,
a bird friend.
you video game heads out there may recognize this as a Castlevania clone, and boy is it ever. Just imagine if Simon Belmont had a bird perched on his shoulder, and that's what this game is. You collect crosses, I guess? Okay, I'm gonna need someone to fill in for me on the history part of this game.
Well, Chat was having an entirely different discussion about different kinds of, about ROM corruption for some reason, but, let's see, Chat says about this game, what if Burb? So,
What if Burb? What if Simon Belmont had a Burb?
can the second, player control the bird?
Yes,
Sorry, Burb.
I do not have a second controller plugged in, but yeah, supposedly you can take control of Kutris the owl, the second player can. So that's kind of neat. Like, imagine if in Castlevania a second player could control, like, Simon Belmont's dog or something.
Thank you, Codeman, for discussing what Seta is known for releasing, or in this case, not releasing. They are the Bioforce 8 people.
Oh, right, yeah, the Bioforce Ape dudes. They are more famous for that than anything they released.
Alright, Abby mentions, part of what's dumb about this game is that the bosses will take ages upon ages to the point of not being worth doing it all in anything but the right level.
I've heard that. Yeah, the one thing I know about this game is that it's like Mega Man. You have to take on the levels in a certain order, and if you don't fight the bosses in the right order, they take forever to kill. That's probably why I never played much of this. I do remember getting to a boss once and then not being able to kill it. You just kind of have to know the level order in advance. Also, it's hard.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about this game is that it's extremely hard. Seta also made, according to chat, the Tom Sawyer game for the NES, not the Square one, but the other one.
Oh god, Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
And they also made Twin Eagles Revenge Joe's Brother, which beautiful.
Great name, at least.
Oh, and Super Real Mahjong.
Oh, okay. Well, they made their money, at least. So I picked up a gun. I didn't know there was a gun in this game.
I guess the protagonist is a little Freakazoid-ish-esque, Ides of Merch.
Okay, if you hold up and B, your bird gets sent out, and then you can, like, command him by pushing up and A, I guess. Let's see if we can get it to attack something.
Attack that skull.
Go, bird. Oh, the bird's getting hurt real bad.
Oh, the bird can't do shit against that skull.
Should have given the bird a knife or something.
Can you equip weapons to the bird?
Oh, good question. Okay, bird, you got a gun. Now use it. Go, bird. Yeah, honestly, this game doesn't play very well. It looks okay. It looks like it would be a good Castlevania clone. But it just doesn't play that well.
Yeah, it doesn't look that fun. But it looks really fucking cool, I gotta say.
Yeah. I can see why they localized this. This looks good in the screenshots. A kid could see this in Nintendo Power and be like, wow, I want Simon Belmont with a bird. Most kids didn't, though. Can you blame them?
Most kids weren't like, ah, yes, I too wish to have my own falcon while playing as Simon Belmont.
Amateur falconists. Is that what they call them?
Oh, there's a term for it.
I know it's called falconry, the art of being of controlling a falcon.
Zillion Tab asks if this is based off of any license, like an anime or something. I don't think it is, actually.
I don't think so either. I think this is an original creation by Seta and Thinking Rabbit.
Alright, 10 seconds, Danny.
Okay, in conclusion, if you want Castlevania, you should just play Castlevania.
Yeah.
Even if you can give the bird a Molotov cocktail.
Wow, so you can equip the bird!
God, dude. Okay,
Whoa!
Change my mind. This game's badass.
Okay, yeah,
Let's move on.
Same. Good game.
Next up in March of 1990 was a game called Burai Fighter. It's got a neat intro, at least. This is by Kid, or KID, or Kindle Imagine Develop, a company whose games we've covered before on Mascot Friday. They did Kickmaster, they did Banana Prince, and maybe a couple others we played. They did Trolls in Crazyland, but don't hold that against them.
Okay. I did like the title screen.
It's neat. Yeah, Kid, they put some work into their games, and this game is okay. It's a shoot 'em up where instead of a ship, you are a dude.
People like this game.
Yeah, this game has a pretty good reputation. It's pretty playable. If you hold the B button, you can just lock your fire in one direction. Otherwise, you can aim in any of 8 directions. Which is pretty neat for a shooter, even though you can die in one hit.
Zillion also mentions that these folks also did Rekka.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which may be a better game than the ones you mentioned.
Maybe a little bit. I guess now is a good time to mention that Taxan made 9 games for NES here in the States and 2 for Game Boy. One of them was called Burai Fighter Deluxe, which was, despite the name, basically just a port of this game to Game Boy. Their second and final game for Game Boy was a game called Serpent, which was developed by Naxat Soft. It was the only Taxan game to be developed by Naxat, and that was just Nokia Snake.
Beautiful.
Hey, you gotta have Snake. Wait, back then it wouldn't have been Nokia Snake, it would have just been Snake.
Yeah, remember when it wasn't Nokia Snake?
Yeah, weird.
When there was just, like, Snake existed, it was, like, something you would play on your, like, your basic compiler or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Alex compiling code.
I just would make choose your own adventures in QBasic, and it wasn't ever any good. No variables, no nothing.
Wow.
Pure garbage.
Pure gameplay. So that was kind of neat. That boss there, you had to shoot him in the back, because that's where Zai was. And you can do that, because you can shoot anywhere.
Okay, that's actually interesting. Electric Boogaloo says, one of the designers, producers of Burai Fighter is Ken Lobb, who you may know from, of course, the Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And inventor of the Klob gun in GoldenEye. That's mostly true. Look it up.
I will. I'm getting on my gamer encyclopedia right now.
Good. Oh, I just noticed you can power up across 3 different weapons. That's pretty neat. This game's got some complexity to it.
Let's see. Clob, it's clobbering time. A lot of people like Ken Lobb's name.
Klob, maybe the worst weapon in GoldenEye? Discuss. It seems like you need to shoot dudes a million times with the Klob to kill him. Maybe that's just me.
I love his little legs.
Yeah, he's just got his legs hanging out the whole time. I guess you could consider this a spiritual predecessor to Scat, which was another game released for the NES later. It was a similar game where it's a side-scrolling shooter where you control a dude. A la Forgotten Worlds, I guess.
Alright, Scarlet Swordfish's first kill in GoldenEye was with the Clob, so you know.
Oh, okay, good. The Clob works, I just suck. I'm more an RCP-90 kind of guy.
Yeah, me. I'm more of a I don't play GoldenEye, man.
You're all slappers only.
Hold on!
That's a mode in GoldenEye where you just karate chop people.
Really?
Yeah, it's called slappers only.
Oh, wow.
Back me up here, chat. That's a real thing. I'm not just bullshitting Alex.
It sounds like a... I'm sorry, Slappers Only sounds like a Slappy and the Stinker sequel.
Slappy the Squirrel and Slappers Only.
Alright, it is real, so that's
Told
beautiful.
Yeah, you're all about that Slappers Only.
I kind of want to play Slappers Only with you. Also, you've got 30 seconds left.
Okay, Burai Fighter. Probably the best Taxan game we've seen so far. And again, with competition like a DOG game and Mouse Cop, that's not saying much. Yeah, if we didn't mention it, DOG games, even though they were published by Square Enix, they were not great. And by a boutique label, of course I meant to say budget label. Same thing.
I mean, yeah.
Alright, that's level 1 of Burai Fighter. Go play this game, it's pretty neat.
I love this! I love this big number! Big number!
Oh, they do the big numbers?
Number big!
Did they do a cash register style score adding up? Because that's the most satisfying score.
It was more rolling, but yeah.
Okay. Well, stage 2 takes place in R-Type, so that's our cue to get out of here.
Yeah, let's go.
Burai Fighter, not bad, not bad. And their third and final release for 1990. You're noticing a pattern here, like they only release 3 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, we're going to hit this market, but we're not going to put too much effort into it. Their third and final release came in September, and that was a game called Low G Man, the Low Gravity Man.
Oh, I like that they had to clarify.
Now, this game was also by Kid, so you should expect some kind of presentation quality here. We had beautiful sunsets, but then they came.
Oh, that looks so cool.
Say hello to the most 90s man possible.
This looks so good!
The Low Gravity Man.
Oh, I'm into this.
This is a pretty cool game. I bet a few people in chat played this. What'd y'all think?
Video Game King says, I remember playing this and bouncing off of it. For as good as it looked, it was pretty loosely designed.
Yeah, the controls in particular are kind of loose in this game, and the frame rate's not that great. But basically, you're a dude who can jump way high in the air, and you have a gun that stuns enemies. You can't actually kill enemies with your gun. What you gotta do is stun them, and then you just poke them with your giant spear. They should have really called him Spearman.
Honestly, yes. Let's see.
Oh yeah, and some weapons and enemies you can actually commandeer. Let's see if I can do that. There we go, check it out.
Let's see. Snubble says, I never got the love for this, but I guess sometimes you want to jump big. And you know, I get that.
Yeah, it's a basic appeal, being able to jump to the top of the screen. I mean, hell, they published Fist of the North Star.
Let's see, Chad mentions he's not to be confused with OG Man or the delicious OJ Man.
OJ Man.
This is pretty cool, I gotta say.
Oh, it blew up.
I do like the color scheme in this game.
It's pretty neat, yeah. It has even though the characters are really small, it has kind of a detailed, striking style to it. I guess it's kind of like Kickmaster in that regard. I don't know, maybe I'm a fan of Kid. I like that KID.
You like the I like that it's like that they like invented the Kindle or whatever in their name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amazon ripped them off. Imagine
so.
Yet another thing that the evil Jeff Bezos has stolen from us.
The beautiful works of Kid. Yeah, Kid games do have a really interesting aesthetic that I've noticed. I like these.
Yeah, they stick to that style too. They're pretty consistent. And this actually isn't going to be the last Kid game we see. I'm just talking about them like they're a kid.
No, listen. I know Kindle was a quote-unquote actual word, but let's be honest. Once Bezos got a hold of it, then you know, it had no chance.
Yeah.
It had no chance. I will never... If I'm talking about kindling a fire, I am literally talking about throwing a book reader into a big pile of flames, which you probably shouldn't do. Probably bad for your lungs.
Not good for the environment either.
Yeah, it's not very environmentally friendly.
Try kindling your imagination instead.
Ooh. So, like, imagining things while looking at my Kindle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just gonna poke this guy until he's dead.
I'm looking at it right now, and I'm imagining you poking him, man. Oh my god, you were! Keep poking him.
Man, I suck at this game. I have very little experience with Flow G-Man, I'm sorry to say. Sorry to let the fans down.
Ken Lobb also worked on this game as well, thanks there.
Man, Ken Lobb, Taxan Superstar. Maybe they just got him on board and they thought, well, we got Ken. We don't need to put any more thought into these games. Come to think of it, did this get a Japanese release? It might not have.
That is what I'm saying, Video Game King. Jeff Bezos pounced, and he sank his fangs into something, and just wriggled his mouth.
Like a dog.
Like
a dog or
a
crocodile.
You know what? Yeah, like a crocodile. Well, crocodile's more snap.
Mm.
Also, this did not come out in Japan, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't think it did. Weird. Alright, well, we got a US exclusive here from Taxan, of all people. Kind of weird, because up until this point, they'd pretty much just been localizing other people's work.
Did you know that Jeff Bezos has a locking jaw?
He
so,
does?
like, when he grasps onto you, you can't unlock. It's
Whoa.
really dangerous, yeah.
Damn. Don't fight Jeff Bezos. He doesn't fight fair.
When you see Jeff Bezos, either make yourself appear larger or
play
dead.
dead.
Yeah, play dead. Just
let him have your picnic basket. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
Man.
lay prone on the ground,
Oh,
curl
now
up.
this is a kid color scheme right here.
I was gonna say, this level supports trans rights. I love this.
Way back in 1990.
I've noticed they use that scheme a lot in kid games, and I love it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the first level you don't get to really use your jumping abilities, but later levels, including this one, you can just jump all over. And that's the fun of the game, just jumping all over the place, taking over enemy weapons. That's Low G-Man. Available for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's 5 minutes.
Alright, good. Alright, so that's 1990, and we are now 2/3 of the way through their entire library. What do we think of Taxan so far?
Well, these seem like games to play. I feel
Good
bad.
analysis, Alex.
they all okay, I will say this. A lot of them, aside from Mystery Quest, a lot of the graphics here are much more, I don't want to say realistic, but they have a more that Konami Batman era stylization where it's that kind of it's not realistic, but it's realistic.
Yeah, they have a kind of shading to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of just the way it presents depth, I guess you could say. That's more of a kid thing than a Taxan thing, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But we're going to continue that because their next game, and next to last game, believe it or not, was in January 1991, and I know people played this game. This is G.I. Joe.
Alright, let's see. Family Consumer says, they're a decent B- publisher. They're no Capcom Konami, but they're better than Acclaim or Milton Bradley.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, that's how I'm seeing it.
And this game is Taxan's final game developed by Kid. So this is very much in the vein of Low G-Man.
Oh, this has that kid look.
Only with G.I. Joe, you got your Blizzard. You got your Snake Eyes.
Good, I know Snake Eyes.
Alright, you can always use a ninja on your team. Who else we got here? We got Captain Gridiron, who is just a guy wearing a football uniform.
You know, according to legend, according to his background, he went to the War Academy, so that's good.
Whoa, the War Academy.
Yeah, where you learn how to war.
Alright, so you got half a dozen Joes you can take into battle. Time has come to rid the world of the Cobra organization.
Who is that guy?
That's
Is
Thanos.
It's what?
Thanos. I don't know who that guy
Sorry,
is.
it's like, is that supposed to be Duke? Who? Okay, no, Duke that's some guy who's above Duke, which is wild to me. Maybe that's the president.
Alright, we are definitely going to go with Captain Gridiron and Snake Eyes, the ultimate team-up. Football guy and ninja.
Honestly, I'm into it.
His character graphics aren't so bad.
Someone put that on Archive of Our Own.
Oh, it's got cutscenes. Now, this game was pretty high profile from what I know. A lot of people know this game and are fans of it.
Oh, I love these trees!
Look at those trees! Yeah, that's a nice touch there, actually. So, despite this not being low G-Man, you can still jump way the hell up in the air, because this is a kid game. And you control 3 different characters, you get a whole bunch of different power-ups you can use. Let's use our gun. Because that's what makes a Joe, his gun.
Now notice that he still has that laser gun, because this is still based on the TV show where both sides had lasers because guns were too violent, but lasers, you know, it's fine.
They have guns in the comic or something?
I think they actually do have lasers in the comic, but they had guns for the toys until...
Look at the way these dudes jump into the foreground. That's neat.
That is cool. Yeah, I think he had a gun until either the 70s or 80s. I'm not sure. There's probably some big-time Joe head out there that knows.
Sorry, I've never seen anything G.I. Joe. I am completely oblivious to all Joe activity.
I have the original animated series on DVD.
Oh, cool. I should watch it.
It's alright. I mean, it's G.I. Joe, real American hero, but it's interesting, and there's some really weird episodes that are kind of surrealistic that are nice.
This is an auto-scrolling boss where you're being chased by an airplane. That's kind of awesome.
Yes, this is definitely based on the Deke version of the cartoon, not the Sunbow version. Sunbow version is actually pretty good. It's by the Transformers team, I think, or some of the Transformers Marvel team.
Oh, another plane! You know, I'd never played this game before, and this is kind of great. I like this. This is real good. I gotta be a different dude, though. Let's have the football player fight the plane with his bare hands. He did it! He punched out that plane!
Did you? Okay, that rules.
He just punched the hell out of that plane.
Also, the comic is alright, and what I do like about the comic is it expands into the idea that Cobra runs an entire, like, track housing kind of planned community town. Like, one of those, like, really, and it's like, it totally is trying to do, like, real estate scams and stuff to people to let them join their weird, like, planned community, like, gated community place.
They would do that.
It's actually pretty funny.
Oh, damn. Do I have to... Okay, I can punch these. Alright, so these levels are actually multi-scrolling, it looks like. It's not just left to right. You can... There's some up and down in there, too.
Less like a company town and more like, oh... I don't know if you've ever heard of planned cities, planned communities. Like it's like Celebration, Florida, is what it's like. Which is wild. Yes, they did do MLM scams too, I think.
G.I. Joe did?
No, Cobra.
Oh, okay.
The Joes are too kind-hearted to ever do MLM scams.
Check. Oh, we're planting bombs, I see.
Yes, Sergeant Slaughter is in the G.I. Joe cartoon, but I think he's in the Deke seasons, not in the original Sunbow seasons. You've got 15 seconds left.
Well, this is a cool game, and Taxan was lined up to release a sequel called The Atlantis Factor, but for some reason they closed up shop shortly after, and that's why Capcom published the sequel, and I assume reaped the profits from it. I don't know why they didn't end up just releasing the sequel. Like, they paid for the license, they had Kid develop it, it's just, they were just like, we gotta get out of the business. That's G.I. Joe, which was what many people would consider Taxan's best game. I'd say it's pretty good. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that looked really cool.
But we've already reached the end for Taxan. At this point, the writing was on the wall. They said, okay, this whole video game thing, this ain't going nowhere. We're shutting things down, shifting things over to Naxat Soft here in Japan. And their final release came in February with maybe their weirdest game yet, Magician.
Alright, I like Magician. Oh my god!
Now, there is a prototype version of this game where the main character's neck is even more fucked up. They tried to fix it before release.
This is so European!
It's so European that the maker is named Eurocom.
Danny, this is so European.
So the nice thing about this game is I don't have to play it. They have a nice little demo that shows you everything you can do in this game. So I'll just let that play while I eulogize Taxan. Yep, by this point Taxan was just like, video games ain't working. We're just gonna focus on Naxat Soft in Japan. Pack it up, boys. Taxan is no more. So they handed off publishing rights to G.I. Joe 2, which Capcom published as G.I. Joe The Atlantis Factor. Still made by kids, still part of the same series, just Capcom instead of Taxan. Now you might think that their holding company or whatever was in trouble, but no. Kaga Electronics is still alive and still doing very well. In fact, they recently acquired Fujitsu.
What?
Who I understand is pretty big, so
Yeah,
I think I think they're doing quite well for themselves. They also expanded throughout Europe, where they sold mostly like hardware, monitors, things like that. But that's really the whole story here. This was just one of their little ventures that they decided to go out and try and make some money off of, and I guess it just didn't meet expectations. So they took it back to Japan and became extremely successful.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But look at this game.
Yeah.
This looks incredibly ambitious, and also the kind of game that I would be terrible at, so I'm afraid to play it.
I do like this dopey little dragon.
This is a dopey little dragon.
Hey, don't fight me! I don't got no legs! Come on, man! Just trying to live my... Aw, now I'm dead! You happy with yourself? Also, I like that he was just, like, exploding rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And as Chad's mentioned, the author behind the music here, the musician, the music is by Neil Baldwin.
Ah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He did some good music. His soundtrack for Hero Quest is real good on the NES. Boy, do I have to play this at all? Like, it's demonstrating every part of the game here. Look at this.
Also, Electric Boogaloo mentions that Kaga did close Naxat in 2015, but by that time they were called Kaga Create, so...
Yeah, shortly afterwards they renamed Naxat Soft to Kaga Create, and they lasted for a good long time. And as Boogaloo says, it was only recently that they closed down. You can even fly!
I do like the art in this game. This looks really cool.
This looks like the kind of thing that would be a pain in the ass to put on NES. Look at this!
Oh, God.
Now you'd think this would be a port of a PC adventure game, but apparently not. This was made just for NES. Complexity and all. He just gave up on that puzzle. Save games at any time using the battery-backed RAM. Is this demo meant for CES or something?
I was gonna say, this demo goes on! This feels like it's at a, it feels like I'm at, like, a Toys R Us and I'm watching a whole demo or something. You got hit in the face! That was
Yeah.
amazing!
Wow!
No, bring that back!
God, I love that title screen.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to play the game for like a minute, but suffice to say this game is incredibly complex for the NES.
Mm-hmm.
It juggles item management with platforming, with character building, stats, really the whole 9 yards.
That looks like... That dude's face looks like it's some programmer's face.
It
like,
does.
They digitized some dude. I love it.
I can make a fart noise. I can do it rapid fire. Check it out.
Danny, stop farting.
Okay. Well, this is the end of Taxan, a very short and very strange venture here in video games. They got in kind of late, and they left early. That's Taxan. I guess some of y'all out there might have played stuff like Burai Fighter or G.I. Joe, so you might have some fond memories of them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, though, it was just very much a limited business venture, and when it didn't pan out, they got the hell out of there. I guess there's something to be said for that, instead of just companies releasing dozens and dozens of shit games.
God, yeah.
Like LJN. Someday we're gonna do an LJN spotlight.
Do we have to?
I think we have to. I think it's our
Danny.
destiny.
Danny, please. Alright, you got 10 seconds to beat the game.
Okay, I'm taking a quest here at the old guild. I accept the LJN Spotlight quest, so we're going to do that at some point in the future. As for Taxan, not bad. Not a bad run at all. Let's have a look at those games. Let's see whether they were good or bad. Okay, we got Star Soldier, I would say was good.
Mm-hmm.
Fist of the North Star, bad.
Yeah.
Mystery Quest, bad.
Yes.
Mouse Cop Land, awful. Eight Eyes, interesting. I would say trending towards bad. Burai Fighter, good. Low G Man, I'd say that's also good. G.I. Joe, great.
G.I. Joe looked really good.
And Magician, at least it's interesting. It's got its fans, so I'm willing to say good. So that's what, 4 bad, 5 good? That's like a 50% hit rate.
That's not bad.
There has been worse. It's no acclaim. It's no LJN.
Yes, Ragu mentioned that Taxan advertised in comics and game mags a lot. Not only did they do that, but they actually had their own newsletter called Taxan Videodiction.
That's it, yeah. You could get that by filling in the business reply cards in video games and computer entertainment and other magazines. Only nerds do that, which is why I had several issues as a kid.
Good.
I am familiar with Taxan's magazine. It's kind of surprising considering they were only around for like 2 years, but whatever.
Yeah, they were really going for it.
So there you go, the story of Taxan. Not the worst NES publisher, definitely not the best, but they had a few hits. Consider playing some Taxan games today.
Find some Taxan games at your local library.
This is brought to you by the Taxan Lobby of Texas.
The Taxan Texans.
The Taxan Texans.